This is the His and Her Money Show, where we show you how to have better money, be a better couple, and live a better life. Now, here are your hosts, Talent and Ty McNeely.
Hey family, welcome back to the His and Her Money Show, where we're helping you to get better money, become a better couple, and live a better life. We are talking investing today, and we're talking about real estate investing, and we're talking about mobile home investing in particular. It's such a low barrier to entry, and it's such an untapped market, especially with what's going on in the world today. Man, this is a great opportunity to get into this market and add value to people's lives and add value to your net worth. And to help us discuss this topic today, we got Rachel Hernandez, who has been dealing with mobile home investing for close to a decade. And she's here to share the insight and wisdom that she has learned from her journey to building wealth through mobile home investing. So let's get Rachel on to find out her advice on the matter. Hey, Rachel, welcome to the His and Her Money Show.
Hello, Rachel.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We're super glad to have you here because you have a unique investing story and a niche that you put your money into that I don't think a whole lot of people know about. But here at the His and Her Money Show, we like to make these opportunities known. So we're excited to have you here with us today. For those who may be unfamiliar with who you are and what you teach, can you just say hello to everyone that's tuned in right now and let them know what you're all about?
Sure. Well, hi, everyone. My name's Rachel Hernandez, also known as the Mobile Home Girl online. And I have a blog called Adventures in Mobile Homes. And I've been investing in real estate and mobile homes for over a decade right now. Like a lot of people who got interested in real estate investing, I got started with the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And it was a really good book and starting point to kind of open up my mind about the concept of passive income. And I decided to do it through real estate investing. So in the beginning, I just had to build up, the capital. I couldn't start buying and holding right away. Like a lot of people, you need a capital in the beginning. So I did that by finding deals for other real estate investors. I was a bird dog, and then I became a wholesaler. And then once I built enough capital to start buying and holding, I, started buying single family homes. And it got to the point where I was just kind of a burnout landlord. It was really hard to go on vacation. I had property managers. Even though I had property managers, I was still managing them. So after a while of managing the property managers for the single family homes, I decided to just get out of single family homes and put all my money into mobile homes. I learned about mobile home investing through Lonnie Scruggs. He's referred to as the godfather of mobile home investing. I bought his course. Now it's a book. It's called Deals on Wheels, and it kind of takes you through and walks you through the ropes of how to invest in mobile homes. And the rest is history.
Wow. So let's rewind a little bit. So after you tried all these other various ways of real estate investing, you now find your thing, and it's the mobile home investing. And so walk us through what was some of the first steps that you had to take. Did you have any challenges or any apprehensions at all? Like, is this really going to work? And then let's talk about like your first deal.
Sure, no problem. So let's go back. It was still when I had single family homes. I did read his book, and I tried my first venture into mobile home investing. I went into a mobile home community, and I did what a lot of people just starting out did. I just went and tried to find a deal, and I did. And I believe it was for a smaller mobile home. I think it was a 2-bedroom, as I recall. And they just wanted to move out of the park, and they were only selling the home for $3,000. So I thought, oh, this is great. What a great deal. $3,000. I mean, compared to getting into a single family home, it's a no-brainer. But soon found out after I negotiated the deal, I needed to get the approval of the park to actually do business in that community. So I went to the park manager, and the park manager told me, no, we only allow homeowners to work in this park. You just can't put this deal together as an investor. So I was kind of bummed out. I did a little bit of talking with the sellers, and they told me, no, we really want to do sell, and we can just sell it to you. And you can move it out of the park if you wanted to. And at that point, I didn't have a lot of knowledge. I mean, this was my first opportunity to buy a mobile home. I didn't have a lot of experience, so I had no place to move the home. I didn't have the connections yet. I was at ground zero here. So I went back to the manager and I said, listen, they really want to sell the home to me. I know that you had told me that only homeowners can do business in this park and I have to live in it and be a homeowner, but I'm willing to work with you to see if there was something we can do to make it work. If I put someone in there, you can approve them. And basically the manager's like, no, I told you again, no. So I kind of got turned off with mobile homes, and then I just continued to be a landlord. It wasn't until a few years after that I decided to just go full force into it. I did a little bit of thinking. I reread Lonnie Scruggs' material, The Deals on Wheels, and I actually posed questions to other mobile home investors, and it kept coming back. You just need to find a different community to work with. So I gave it a shot. So from there, the challenges I had was just trying to learn my market, trying to learn about mobile homes in general, building up my network. I already had a network with single family homes, but mobile homes is a completely different ball game. So from there, I just learned my market, and then it took me about almost a year to find my first deal. And at this point, I had already learned my lesson. I already talked to the manager and built the rapport with the manager. And to make a long story short, I found a nice family. They had lived in the home. It was also a 2-bedroom for over 10 years, and they just wanted to move out of the park. And I negotiated a deal. I bought that home for $3,600. And it took me 2 weeks to fill it. I found a nice family who wanted to live in the park actually and liked the home, and they had family in the park already. And they gave me $1,000 to move in and $250 per month cash flow for the next 4.5 years. And that was my first deal.
So you have history in both the traditional real estate side, single family homes and whatnot, and then now with the mobile home investing. Why is mobile home investing something that more people should consider? Because I know a lot of people have not heard about this as an opportunity. So if they're just now being introduced to, what you've already learned years ago, why should they be putting more consideration into the possibility, the potential that investing into mobile homes has?
Sure. I mean, I think, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I just think that mobile homes is a very specialized niche. And that's a good thing for new investors just trying to get into investing, because not a lot of people, even experienced investors, even know about. They've heard of it probably, and then they've heard the negative side about mobile homes. We've all heard about people saying, well, they depreciate. The types of clientele that you're working with is just like a lower grade clientele, and everyone associates mobile homes with the movies, such as 8 Mile. You think that's what it's about, but it's not. Just like single family homes, there are different neighborhoods when it comes to mobile homes. So there are high end, middle of the road, and low end types of neighborhoods. And as an investor, it's up to you to decide, well, what kind of neighborhood do I feel comfortable working with, and the type of clientele that work with my personality. What I like about mobile homes is, yes, it does require capital. I mean, there are people who get private lenders to lend them the money for their deals, just like traditional real estate. But it requires, in general, a less amount of capital than your traditional single family home. And the advantage for, people just getting in is a lot of people just don't have that much capital to begin with. So instead of, spending thousands of dollars on a single family home, they could, spend less on a mobile home. But it is very specialized. So it involves more work than getting into a single family home because there's a lot of networking. There's a lot of people kind of are in the know. They know everyone in the business since it's such a specialized niche. But of course, that's local to your area.
Mhm. So now that you've been doing this for a while, do you highly suggest someone starting out? I mean, can they do what you've done, like get a book or a course, or should they really be looking for like a mentor, somebody to walk them through this?
Sure. No, I don't think there's a one size fits all kind of path for everyone. I've had many mentors over the years. Lonnie was one of mine personally, and I've asked him questions, over the years regarding, just his thoughts on some of the investing that I've done with the mobile homes. But everyone has a different way of learning. And it comes down to what is the best way for you to learn and to give you the confidence that you need. There are people who are self-taught. I'm not one of them. I've had many, many, many mentors that have helped me get to where I'm at. But there are people who can go off and learn on their own. They could, take the books, or take a course and then just learn from that, just that one course or book, and then just go out there and start, doing deals. On the other hand, there are people who need a little bit of hand holding. They feel more comfortable if there's someone guiding them through it, such as a mentor or a coach. And those are the people who need the step-by-step, who need to do exercises in order for them to learn. So it really depends on the person, in my opinion.
So when somebody wants to give this a shot, like where do they start? Is it because, if you're depending on where you live, you may not have even paid attention that mobile homes are nearby, or maybe there aren't mobile homes nearby you. How do you even begin to investigate what opportunities are around you when it comes to mobile home investing?
Sure. Well, in the beginning, I think the number one thing for people to do is first, before they decide they want to invest their time, their money, their effort into something, they've first got to see if they're at that point where they can invest. Make sure that they have their finances in order, know what's coming in and what's coming out. I don't suggest people get into any type of investing until they know their own personal finances beforehand. Otherwise, it can snowball into something even worse and get them in a situation that's even worse than what they are in. But once they've decided on that and they figured, okay, I do want to invest, and they picked, for example, mobile homes as a niche, they need to ask themselves the question, do I have enough capital to start buying and holding? Am I comfortable? Or do I need to build it up? If they have the capital to start buying and holding, for example, mobile homes, then all it is a matter of learning the market, getting to know the mobile homes community in the area, building up their network, and then going from there to try to do their first deal. I always tell people, if you're going to do this, start small, do a small deal first, and then see if you like it. I've known people, investors who've come from single family homes or even apartment buildings. They've done one mobile home deal in a community and they thought, this is just not for me. So if you do a small deal, there's less risk than if you went out and did a big deal like buying an entire mobile home park. And I've known people like that too. I knew an investor, he bought an entire mobile home park. He came from the single family home arena. And he bought this park, and there was a main water line that broke, and it cost him $60,000 for that fix. He had to refinance one of his single family homes. Thank goodness he had the equity in that home to fix that issue. And then he ended up selling the park because he was like, this is not what I want to do. So that would be my advice for anyone wanting to get into mobile homes.
So are there websites that people in this industry usually use to search for mobile homes that they could potentially invest in?
Yes, I think there are online. I don't really look at websites to purchase mobile homes. For me, it's more community based, but there are websites online that list mobile homes for sale. But the investor has to go in thinking that the person listing that has paid a fee to list it. And so I don't know what their situation is, if they're trying to sell it for the retail price, or if they're willing to wait a little bit longer, or you may be dealing with a bank who listed it on a online site for mobile homes. That's just kind of not my area of expertise. I'm more local, so I get into the communities, talk to the managers, talk to the residents, talk to the mobile home dealerships on a local level to find opportunities there. But yes, it can be done online as well too.
Okay, yeah. My similar question was going to be, should someone hire like a realtor? But it sounds like to me, you're able just to go on foot yourself.
But how do you find where these communities are if you're just getting started?
Sure. If you want to look for communities in your area, the best thing is to do, you can do a simple web search to see, just do mobile home parks in whatever city, and then start there. And there are mobile home parks that are not listed. So what you'll find is once you start talking to the mobile home park owners or the managers or the residents, another question I asked, well, do you know of any other parks? And I've actually found a lot of parks that are just not listed, owned by mom and pop for a long time, through referrals from mobile home dealerships, mobile home park owners, managers, and residents that way. So it really is, you really have to get into your local area to actually uncover these opportunities, is the way that I do things.
So when someone says, okay, yeah, I want to give this a try, they go to the mobile home park, do they just go straight to finding the manager of that park? And if so, what do they actually tell them? Do they mention and let them know that they're an investor? Or do they ask them, basically a different way? Do they ask them, are there any homes for sale? What's the process like? Do you even allow people to purchase if they're not planning on, staying there?
Sure. Well, the first thing I do, I tell people, and this is what I do, and this is what I've learned from Lonnie, is in the beginning, I visited pretty much all the parks in my area. And once you visit a park, you got to look around and look at the park. Before you talk to any of the residents, the manager, the owner, you got to look at the park and think, is this park for me? Now, if you're unfamiliar with the area, then you'll have to do a little bit of driving around. And there are a couple red flags when it comes to a park that's mismanaged. You'll see that the yards are unkept. There could be items on the porch. There could be loose animals in the park as well, too. And there's nothing wrong with middle of the road or low end parks. I tend to stay in higher end parks. There's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of investors, that's their bread and butter, but you really have to ask yourself, do I feel comfortable working here? And if it is a place that you do want to, get some more information about, then the next step is, yes, to go talk to the park manager or the owner. Usually they have regular business hours, just like any business, and go in there. And my strategy, and it's not everyone else's strategy, is I just go in there saying that I just drove up by the park and I just wanted some more information. And I'm just getting information at that point. Then once we've conversed a little, it comes out that, I actually, buy these homes and help put good people in the homes. I don't say I'm an investor and I flip the homes and I'm trying to make a profit. And there are people who do that. And some people think that that's being more honest than going in there as a regular person. But that's just not my style. And that wasn't Lonnie Squared's style either. I just don't try to have a big head about things. And I just think, you know what, if there's a home that's available and they need to sell right away, just let me know. But that when you have that type of relationship, the person feels more like they're on your level versus you're some investor and, you know, they just don't have as much in common with you. Most managers or even owners, I mean, they just want to deal with regular type people. So that's my way of doing things. And to network and to talk to these managers and owners, it's more of an art than an exact science. So it does take a little bit of practice to get good at that.
So you've done a number of these deals. You know, let's talk about the dollars and cents behind it, you know, just for some of the things that you've done. So to give people context about the kind of capital that it can potentially take for them, obviously it's dependent on their locale and their area, but like how much does it take to get into a mobile home? And are you charging rent? Are you flipping? Are you wholesaling? How have you approached the different ways by which you can invest in mobile homes?
Sure. So basically, I'm a buy and hold. I don't do any flipping. I don't do any wholesaling. If there's a deal that comes across my desk and the home needs way too much work, I'll call either a mobile home dealer or another investor who actually does those types of things like rehab. Usually it'll be someone who's actually working in the park, and those are the types of homes, you know, they're willing to take on. I would refer it to them. But if I have an opportunity that comes my way and it's for like a buy and hold, I have a profile of people. Usually I want to buy from a homeowner who's been there for at least 5 years. Usually if they've been there for 5 years, most times they've taken pretty good care of the home. Anything less than 5 years, either they're in and over their head with the home or there's something wrong with the home. That's just kind of my little formula. And I only take on mostly cosmetic issues. I will take on roof repair, just remove and replace, like hot water heaters go out, air conditioning units go out, heaters go out, plumbing, just remove and replace repair work. But I don't take on full on rehabs, even though the homes are offered very cheap, just because it takes up too much time to fix them up. And then while you're fixing up these homes, you have to pay lot rent to the park because the park is actually charging a fee for the home to sit there. So that's another thing you have to factor in. But for someone just getting started, the first thing is to learn their market. But I would probably advise them to see, well, how much would like a typical, whether it be a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom used home, 10 years and older would be in the area. And the manager, the owner, or the mobile home dealerships could tell you to get a better idea and then figure out how much work you want to do for those homes. And in the beginning, it can be hard because if your resources are limited, but you also want to start talking to contractors who specialize in fixing up mobile homes. And usually these are the people who work in the parks themselves.
That's good to know. Now, when purchasing a mobile home, do you look for a certain standard, like a certain number of bedrooms? Because I'm assuming there's certain, bedrooms that probably sell quicker or faster or they're most requested. So is it like a minimum of 2 bedrooms for people to be looking for, 3 bedrooms? What's typically your formula?
For me, in the beginning, since, when I would started at ground zero, I basically just looked to see what opportunities were there. And through experience, I kind of have like a target market of what I want my ideal residence to be. And two bedrooms are fine in a market where there are families looking for them, like starter families, and also in the 55 and older. I think there's a lot of two bedrooms in those communities. But as I progressed through my mobile home investing career, I just learned that three bedrooms, at least three bedrooms, were just faster to fill than a two bedrooms for a family, though. That because that's basically my target market, families. Most times they do want, unless they're a starter family, which is a niche in itself, they want a three bedroom or up. So I'm not saying two bedrooms is impossible to fill, but you really need to know your market there. And I've known people who've been successful in the 55 and over market, and they just do two bedrooms. So it really depends on the market.
And then how does someone calculate their cash flow? So if they get a renter in the place and after all expenses, the lot fees and things like that, how do they kind of figure out what to price or how to price that particular home?
Sure. Well, in the beginning, it will depend on what you intend to do. Are you trying to sell it for cash? Most people who end up selling for cash, they have to buy it really, really low. And some people, a lot of people want to double their investment into it. If you can't double it, then pick a number on how much profit you want. I don't do that. So the next thing is if you're going to be renting. So if you're going to be renting, you need to figure out what is the lot rent and then calculate what is the market rent in the area for whether it be a two bedroom or a three bedroom home or apartment. And for me, I keep it in line with what the market rents are. But once I have something on the market, I do it a little bit less than market rent to entice people for their interest. For me, I do a lease with an option to purchase instead of a straight rental. And these are people who want to purchase the home in the future, but they don't want to commit. They'd rather have that option because, believe it or not, I've taken a number of homes back in the past, whether it be divorce, people lose their jobs. A lot of times it has been divorce. They've just fallen on hard times. And in these cases, a lot of times, believe it or not, they leave the home in great condition. They give me back the keys or they, drop it off with the park office. And I haven't had an issue on that. And I guess we'll talk about filling homes, but when it comes to filling homes, you really want to be careful on who you choose.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. How do you choose the right person or family to...
What's your process when you're deciding who to rent to?
Sure. In the beginning, I actually just met with people who would call over the phone. And that took a lot of time and driving. And I dealt with a lot of looky-loos. And it just wasn't the most effective use of my time. So after my experience, I've learned that I need to really, really, really make the best use of my time. So now I market, when I do my marketing, I market to the park manager. I tell them, listen, I've got this home available. If you know anyone that's a good candidate that you think is a good fit, let me know. I also talk to the maintenance people. They know me as well, too. And then I also market in the park to the residents as well, too. In the past, I would, do marketing, around like the mobile home dealers and then the local businesses, the laundromat, the grocery store. But I found the most effective use of my time is just to market in the community because most times people living there have friends and family who may want to live in the area as well, too. So basically, that's the most effective use of my time. So once people start calling, I ask them, the first question I ask them is, have you seen the home? And if they're a friend or a family member, they may not have. So I tell them, well, why don't you just go to the home, look at it from the outside, then tell me if you're interested. So they do that. So at that point, the people who are really interested, they'll give me a call back, say, I'm standing in front of the home, I really like it. Then we'll go down the list, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's the monthly, that whole list of the inside of the home. And if they really like it, I say, listen, I'm going to have an open house, usually on the weekend in the afternoon. I pick a day, usually it's Sunday afternoon. If you're interested, come by the open house. And at that point, they asked me, were there any other people looking at it? I said, well, I've gotten calls, but no one's been approved yet. So a week rolls by and it's Sunday afternoon and everyone goes through the house, all the families who are interested. And then if they like the home, I give them my application and they have to go through my application process first. I do the standard check landlord, job, and criminal. And if they pass that, then they can apply to the park and the park charges a fee. And they do the same thing, landlord, job, and criminal. So there are 2 steps to getting approved, and some people are not willing to do that. So the people who are really serious go through all the steps needed to be able to get into the home.
Awesome. Now you're bringing up some paperwork here. So, and you talked about how you structure deals with not just traditional rent, but buying with the lease option or with the option to buy. So where did you learn how to structure the paperwork? Where did you learn how to generate these contracts that you give to people? Talk about the paperwork side of closing these types of deals.
So in Lonnie's book, Deals on Wheels, and there's 2 ways to do this. Lee he gave a promise to pay, like a promissory note, and charged interest. And that's perfectly fine as long as you're willing to, if there's an issue, go through the foreclosure process. And you need to really know the laws in your area. But what I found, and this is since I was a landlord, a lot of people, things happen. People get divorced, people lose their jobs, someone gets sick and they have to move away. And some people just don't want to be committed to that, both on the investor side and also the resident side. So in the beginning, yes, I learned about that lease with option to purchase. I actually had a personal mentor, and that's what my mentor did locally. So I started with that. I also learned about that in various mobile home investing books online. Usually, a lot of these real estate books, they'll have sample contracts at the end of the book on what they do. And then you can also look at contracts through books such as NOLO.com, and they have it per area as well too. So the contracts, to me, a lot of people get held up with contracts, and I did the same, as starting out. It really does not matter. It's not that big of a deal. You really need to look at the person and what kind of person this person is. Can you trust this person? Is this person being honest? Because whether you have a contract or not, if you're working with a dishonest person, not just as a resident, but also a seller, and I don't buy from people, from sellers that I feel I have a funny feeling about. I feel like this person's just holding back. They're telling me something. I have a gut feeling that they're not telling me something, even on the seller side. Even if the deal is great, I just won't buy from that person. So you really have to choose wisely who you decide to do business with. And I wouldn't just fill a home with a resident just because you think, and a lot of investors do this, because they can charge a premium for their rent or for the price. I really would not. I would advise going against that, because a lot of times it ends up coming back to you in the future. So to me, it's really important to know who you're working with versus a contract. You have the contracts just kind of as a guideline, but you really need to know who you're working with on the other side.
Are there some other books that you would recommend? Because you mentioned like some of them may have some of this paperwork in it. Because I know you mentioned Lonnie Scruggs quite a few times in the Deals on Wheel, but it's pretty hard to find that book because there are not too many left in existence. Are there some other books that you would have for us to check out?
Sure, I can give you the link to it. I have a blog I write. I've been writing for a long time of the top 10 mobile home investing books. I can send you the link if you'd like. But a couple that come to mind is Mobile Home Wealth, and by, I think his last name is Velvel. I don't know if you've heard of that book.
Zalman Velvel.
Yes. He has been doing it for a long time, and I think his book is excellent. He actually has a few books on mobile home investing, but I read his book when I first started out, and I think it's a really good book for anyone who wants to get started in mobile home investing. He's a really good example of, getting started. Of course, Lonnie Scruggs has Deals on Wheels. He does have a couple other books, Making Money with Mobile Homes. There's also, if anyone's interested in getting into investing in mobile homes with land, Tony Colella as well too. And I know Tony, I've asked him a couple questions when I first started out. And I believe Lonnie was also his mentor as well. So those are just a couple of the mobile home investing. There's not a lot that come to mind off the top of my head. But if you'd like, I can go ahead and send you the link if you'd like.
And we will make sure that we include it in the show notes. This has been really, really, really informal. I do have one more question. If you had an opportunity to redo this, now that you've learned so much throughout the years, what would be some of the things that you would do differently that you did not do when you first started, because now you've learned more, you've grown more, and you've been mentored?
Yes. Well, one of the things that I probably would have done differently, it was just to kind of put more thought into the type of communities and the type of clientele that I wanted to do business with. In the beginning, like I said earlier, I just kind of looked for opportunities, no matter what the park. If it was a low-end park, if it was a high-end park, if it was a middle-of-the-road type park. And I wasn't really factoring in the type of clientele that was attracted to the park. So I got into a lot of bad deals. One of them was, I wrote about in my blog, Adventures in Mobile Homes, was my $2,000 nightmare. Believe it or not, I bought a home, a 2-bedroom, for $2,000. And I soon found out why, because it was a low-end park. The park manager really wasn't as helpful as I wanted them to be, and trying to help me to fill the park. And the type of clientele who wanted to live in the park was more of a lower end clientele that I really did not feel comfortable working with. So what I did was that I had clientele in nicer parks, end parks, and I told them, listen, if you have family members or friends, we've got a mobile home here, but it's in another community. So a lot of them like, yeah, that'd be great. Which one is it? And I went and showed them, and a lot of them did not even go inside the home because they looked around, they saw the park, and every time it was like, do you have another home, but not in this community, in a nicer community? So I learned my lesson. I ended up taking a loss on that deal. I sold it to an investor who moved it out of that park on his own piece of land. But that was a lesson learned, and it was called my $2,000 nightmare. So that's kind of my advice for anyone wanting to start out. Just know yourself first. Know yourself in terms of what kind of person you are, what kind of communities you want to do business in, and the types of clientele you feel comfortable working with in those communities.
So is there a certain price point, based on that $2,000 lesson? Like, is there a certain range as far as the price that you like to stay in when you're searching, or somebody brings a deal your way? I don't like to go above this amount when I'm purchasing a home? Do you have parameters in that way?
Yes, I do. In my market, and of course this is going to be local, I like to stay $15,000 and below. And there are deals in high-end parks where they've lived there for so long, they don't really, they want to sell it for cash, but they're not going to sell it for some crazy amount of money just because they just kind of want to move on with their lives. So my first deal was actually in a high-end park, the one that I bought for $3,600. And they did not have a for sale sign either. I think I failed to mention that. So the deals are out there. You just have to go out. It requires a little bit more work than single family homes, because single family homes, there's real estate agents, there's the multiple list service out there, the MLS. Things are out there more, but mobile homes, it's kind of like its own niche. And so the opportunities, you really have to go into these communities, go local and find them, but they're there. Whether it be a low-end park, a middle-of-the-road park, or a high-end park, they're there.
And since you are a buy and hold investor, are you, because I'm sure you got plenty, since you've been doing this for so long. So you driving around every month to every residence and picking up, because I don't think there's a such thing as a mobile home, property manager. So I'm sure you're in charge of recouping all the rent that you're paying. How do you go about doing that?
Believe it or not, I don't do that. I did that when I was in single family homes, and I just don't do that anymore. It's a safety issue. But I just don't collect, and also a time issue as well too. I don't collect it in person. The majority of people actually just send it to me in the mail, and everything's, covered in the paperwork, you're late by this day. But actually, I've had people request to do it electronically. So I have it set up where people can actually send me just automated every month through their bank. And that's something that I'm actually trying to do more and more as I, continue investing in mobile homes. So I do it both ways, but I don't collect it in person.
And from our knowledge, the lot rent, or like the dues, is almost like an association dues that goes directly to the park from the renter.
Yeah. Now, there's some people that do it differently. The way I set it up with the park is, and I have done it both ways, but the way I have set it with the park is where the residents, they pay their lot rent to the park. If they're late, I'll catch it up, and then we got to deal with the resident together. It's kind of like a marriage. You're in it together with the park. Now, there are some investors who actually collect through their rent amount. They collect the lot rent and their rent, and then they pay the lot rent to the park. The landlord does. So those are two different ways, but I prefer to do it where the resident just pays their lot rent directly to the park, and most parks are fine with that.
And for the deals where you set up, because you said you do sometimes lease with the option to buy, what time frame is that? Like, when do they have the option to buy? Is it a 3-year deal, a 5-year deal?
No, I mean, their commitment, I do it for 15 years, basically. So they have the option to purchase it. And a lot of times when people have issues, I'll know in 5 years. If they've been there less than 5 years, something will happen, and then they'll just leave. And then I have to fill it again. So right now, I've got 2 that I'm working on that I've actually had to take back.
And so if you do have to take it back, then you just go through the process of marketing it over for a new owner.
Right.
Potential.
Right.
Okay.
One of them was a divorce, so they split up, and they basically left the home and gave the keys to the park manager. The other one that I'm working on, they just came on hard times, so they weren't able to afford the lot rent and the rent, and they wrote me a note and dropped off the keys with the park manager, and that was it. So, like I said, the paperwork is good to have just as a guide, but if you don't know who you're working with, or if you work with the wrong people, you could be, you could be in foreclosure, you could be in eviction, someone could be living in your home for free if you don't take the time to really screen it out. And you've probably heard this, a vacant home is better than having a home that, you have bad tenants or bad renters in.
Wow. All right. This has been super informative. You laid out a lot of good information for people to begin their journey if they want to take a shot at investing in real estate. It's a way to get some passive income every single month by renting out mobile homes, man. So thank you so much, Rachel, for coming and sharing all this great info with us today.
Great. No problem. Thank you so much for having me. And if anyone is interested, I'll send you the link too. I do have a free book. If anyone's interested, it's called 10 Do's and Don'ts to Get Started with Mobile Home Investing. And I can go ahead and send you all the link if you think people would be interested
Absolutely.
in it.
And we'll be sure to put all those links in the show notes of this episode and let people know where they can keep up with you. Let them know about your website and where you're at on social media.
Sure. Well, my website is adventuresinmobilehomes.com. And if anyone's interested on following me in social media, my handle is Mobile Home Girl with a U. So it's Mobile Home Girl, Gurl. And I'm on both Twitter and Instagram.
All right. This has been amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Now you've been given some tools, you've been given some information and some resources to help you dive into this. Don't just sit on the sidelines. You need to build wealth. Yeah, you need to budget. Of course, you need to get your credit in order. Of course, you need to get out of debt. But you also need to be thinking like, what are some ways I can bring in some additional income? I can build some wealth. And this is an opportunity that might fit that description for you. So we hope this was super helpful, and we hope that you're able to take action and take your family higher. All right, that does it for this episode. Don't forget you can find out even more information just like this and a bunch of other topics over at our website, hisandhermoney.com. All right, guys, that's all we got for this time. Until next time, peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the His and Her Money Show. For more information, be sure to visit www.hisandhermoney.com because it's all better at His and Her Money.